I started Surviving Sky with the goal of bringing more awareness to my sister Sky's disappearance. And I thought the best way to do this would be to start a podcast. That way I can really get into the details and bring some humanity to this case. The truth is, I didn't know how to start a podcast. So when I discovered Spotify for podcasters, it had everything I needed. I could record, edit, and then send it out to all the streaming platforms out there. I didn't need to take too much time getting hung up on all the technical aspects. So if you're out there and you're listening to this and you have something that you're passionate about and you just feel like you can inform the world about what you know, then why not start a podcast and check out Spotify for podcasters today. This is episode 9 of Surviving Sky. So this episode's going to be a little different. It's going to be a bit of a bonus episode. I'm going to go through and look at the most frequently asked questions that I get about Sky's case and everything around it. But in order to keep me on task and keep me from rambling, because I will ramble, I do have my husband here with me who's going to help me. He's going to ask me the questions. We kind of went over them together at first, but he's just going to ask and I'm just going to answer them as best as I can. Right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So actually, first, let me introduce you to my husband. Tim, say hello.
Hi.
So if you guys don't know anything about my husband, he is a world famous tattooer.
Yeah.
I mean, I would like to think so. I mean, you tattoo me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there you go. But also, Tim was with me before Sky even went missing. We started dating just a few months before. He doesn't know Sky well.
Yeah, I think we only met like twice that I could remember, maybe 3 times, maximum of 4. Like it was definitely not more than that.
Yeah, but he does have like a firsthand experience with this whole situation. So he is honestly my biggest supporter throughout all of this. He is, the person I, send the podcast to before I even publish it. He's the one that has made the cover art to the podcast. He even recorded something on his guitar, and that is what you hear at the beginning of each episode. So if you guys want to know how I'm doing all of this, I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for Tim here. So
I don't know if that's necessarily true.
That's 100% true.
Okay.
That's 100% true. You're like the backbone of me. I mean, right?
That sounds like a lot of responsibility.
He carries like the entire world on his shoulders. Little does he know. Okay, so without further ado, right? Let's kind of answer some things and see where it goes.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay,
yeah.
So in any particular order, and you can riff, because I know Tim is also like, my biggest fan, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I won't argue with that. Yeah.
So often he does look through the comments on TikTok or whatever, more so than I do, to be honest. So he keeps me very abreast of what up to date
with the hot goss.
Yeah, just so I don't become overwhelmed with things. So, I mean, I think he knows more about it than I do. Okay, so let's clear some things up. Let's do this.
Okay, so Here's a question. I am going to read them out of order, but this is the question that I see the most. And I find it interesting that this is brought up so often, but maybe not considering the platform. But would you ever consider seeing a medium?
Yes, I see that a lot. And yes is not my answer. But I see that question so often. I do hesitate with seeing a medium. I think because of the nature of this. If it was like, I guess somebody that I know definitively passed, or if it wasn't so public, to be honest, because it's something that people can just research these days, and you can find Skye's name out there, and you can find some all this news and information about her case. And the thing that I deal with and my family deals with so much right now is hope. Like hope that we can find something. And to have somebody else kind of fuck with that, I'm really apprehensive. I don't want to put my faith into something that I'm not sure of. I don't want to be hurt in that way. I have spent so long trying to build my own armor and defense around this. And to have somebody just kind of say they saw a vision or have a feeling or read it in the cards. I don't know. I just get it's not something that I particularly believe in. I'm definitely I need some solid proof for me to actually believe it. Mm-hmm. I understand people's gut feelings and intuition. We all have that. Most times I definitely want to trust my gut on certain things. If I meet somebody new and I get a weird feeling, I'm trusting my gut with that. But in situations like this,
yeah,
mm-hmm. What, how do you feel? I want to know, I know you see these questions and you're just this is it's not something in the realm that I think we necessarily believe in.
Yeah, I think that I think that people offer that question as a way to be hey, try this, mm-hmm. Try this for the pain, try this for, if you haven't tried, or if everything else that you've been trying didn't work, try this. I think maybe sometimes when that's, brought up, it might be in that way. But yeah, it's the thing about that question is how frequently that's asked.
Yeah, I honestly want to know,
who are these mediums and who are they helping and how are they helping them?
Yeah, how have you been helped by a medium? Just send it in the comments. I want to know. What are you, the people who ask, what are you going for?
How have you been helped by a medium outside of any way that you'd be helped by a therapist or some sort of, mediator, not a medium, but a mediator, somebody who can help you through your issues. What is a medium doing that those people aren't?
I know.
I guess I just don't know it enough.
I think that's another thing too. I don't know any mediums.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody who's ever been helped by them.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, my grandmother on my dad's side went to a psychic after Skye went missing. And she ended up telling my parents this a little after the fact that she did it, because I think she felt a little embarrassed. But she wanted to see if anything came of it, but nothing did. All the information that this person had given to my grandmother wasn't true.
Yeah.
So I think that's got, remember I said the rambling thing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
I know.
Happen.
It's going to happen. Sorry, guys. Okay, let's... Let me try to blink. Okay, what?
I think, like, I don't want to make this sound like I want to take anything away from anyone who believes in that either.
True, yeah.
Because I've witnessed things that I cannot explain. I'm not going to get into that. But, you know, there are antenna out there who can, you know, at times things open up to you from somewhere else. A lot of stuff that, you know, comes through me sometimes. I have no idea where it's coming from, but, you know, it's there. If somebody can read those signs and, you know, and help you out, that's great. But in this situation, this specific thing, like you said, I think the information is too public. I think you can end up, you know, really...
You can just get hurt and manipulated. Yes. It's just something that I'm not... I don't want to set myself up for that. So
yeah,
it's just not in the cards right now.
Right.
Okay. What else?
Okay. Next question. Why do you think Sky went to Japan?
So, yeah, I see this also a lot. And basically, Sky was obsessed with Japan. I think now, when I look back at all the information that I've gathered about Sky, basically, over the years, I think she might have been better in Japanese than I've originally thought.
Or had been led to believe.
Or had been led to believe. Yeah. I think, you know, she was like a quiet girl and she was shy. And I think she was really scared to put herself out there to like not... I think she was embarrassed. You know, when I'm trying to learn a language or something new, it's scary. Like, you don't want to go out there and embarrass yourself or fuck up or offend anybody. Yeah. And I think, like, Sky really, like, kind of, like, lived in that space, which prohibited her from practicing and expanding. But, like, she loved, like, I feel like it was her preteens, like 12, when she was starting to get into anime and things like that. And it wasn't really mainstream yet at that time. So she was really like into this like whole fantasy of anime and manga. And I mean, she was in it for so long that, yeah, she wanted to go to Japan.
Yeah.
That was it. It was just like, that is my dream.
Yeah.
And she went to school to study like international, I think it was like international business with a focus on Japanese studies and learning Japanese. And I don't think she really knew how to get exactly what she wanted. So she wasn't doing well in school. So she ended up not being able to do the study abroad program. And I don't think it was a full like study abroad. I think it was just like, you're going to spend a few weeks there in the summer. And unfortunately, that didn't work out. So she took it into her own hands.
Yeah. She was hell-bent to get there.
Yeah. And that was why she went. Just a love and a passion for it.
Yeah.
That nobody was going to stop her.
You know, it's crazy to me. Sorry to like just jump in. It's crazy to me that it's always been assumed, or sort of, you know, when you had the chance to talk to the professor and they said, oh, you know, well, Sky wasn't very good at Japanese. Considering the type of person that Sky was, it wouldn't be surprising at all that she was fluent.
Yeah.
Without being able, like, how many times have you heard stories about, like, you know, people like with stage fright, and then like behind a closed door you hear somebody singing and it's like amazing, and like, you know, it's just this person who's like, you know, never said a word in class or whatever. Like, those stories exist because those people exist, and Sky was probably, you know, a good possibility.
I know, because the more I think about it, if she was looking, like, all of her manga were in Japanese.
Yeah.
And she was watching anime in Japanese all the time. So I'm sure she was probably using some sort of, like, computer tool as well, and she was going to school for it.
It actually reminds me
for years.
Yeah.
It
reminds me of when I was working at the group home that I was working at. Mm-hmm. There was a period of time where manga got huge.
Yeah.
And the kids that I was working with learned Japanese.
Right?
They learned Japanese. Yes, they did. Like, they communicated in Japanese. I don't speak Japanese, so I don't know how good it was. But these kids didn't have access to much. They weren't spending their time on computers all day, like, communicating with people outside of their friend group. Mm-hmm. But they did have access to Japanese manga and, like, some translator books.
Yeah.
And, I mean,
Yeah.
If they could have done it.
Anybody could.
Anybody could, but, like, Sky had access to a lot of other things. She was enrolled in a school to learn this language. It wouldn't be surprising at all that she knew how to get by in Japan.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah. Not that was the question, but just touching on that part
no. But basically, it was just her overall, like, love for Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that covers that question.
Yeah.
How did Sky pay for this?
So,
one that comes up all the time.
I see that a lot. So basically, Sky, as soon as she turned 16, I think it took her like a second to get a job. But her first job was at an amusement park. It was Lake Compounds. And that was on the Bristol and Southington line in Connecticut. She worked it for a summer. And then after that, she was working at a grocery store. That was Price Chopper in Southington. Price Chopper, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was working there. She was part-time. She was in school. She would probably get I know during the summer, she'd probably get a few more hours, I'd say almost full-time. And then when she was in school, it's part-time hours. So she was working. She was probably saving her money. But she was also buying a lot of stuff online. She always had a lot of what are they called? Action figures, like anime, collectible figures, stuff like that. A lot of books. She was really into consuming all those consumables, I guess.
Yeah.
She would even order Japanese food
and
have that shipped in. But she must have we had access to her bank account. And she did have we saw a little bit of a history. She had $2,000-3,000 there at a certain point. But also something that I thought about later is she worked at a grocery store, and you can cash your checks at grocery stores.
Right.
And you could just pocket that cash.
Yeah.
So we don't know how much cash.
I think that was a lot more common of a practice back then, too.
I think so, yeah, because I remember,
I used to, there were liquor stores that I would go to and just,
and cash a check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be a 5% fee or something. I don't even know if it was that high, but, yeah.
Yeah. So that's something else I was considering. If you work where she worked, she could have just been pocketing cash, and that's something that we can't trace.
Right.
I had also found out by looking through her messages on Facebook that she was, selling some of her stuff. Some are for anime things or collectibles or favorite movies or whatnot. Mm-hmm. And I know she wouldn't be able to get too much for that if she was just selling them to her friends. So $10, $15, $20 here and there.
It adds up.
It adds up. Yeah.
And don't forget, and I feel like you've mentioned this before on TikTok or on maybe another episode, but she was living at home.
Yeah.
She wasn't paying rent.
No.
She wasn't, there wasn't anything that was going towards
she didn't
the
have
school.
Yeah. She took out student loans. They were co-signed by my parents. She was telling her friends that she was completely broke and that my mom or my parents were making her pay for school. And that wasn't true. She never paid for school. When she left, since my parents were co-signers on the loans, and she was missing, and we didn't want to declare her as dead because then that closes the case. My parents got that monthly student loan bill for years until it was finally paid off. So that whole situation's crazy. So I'm not too sure exactly how much cash she had on her. I know what was in her account. I know she took out $800 when she was, she transferred in DC to like another flight. And she took out $800 there, but then she left $800 in her account, and I don't know why, and that was never touched. So...
Yeah, that's such a weird...
I know.
That's such a weird sort of fact of the case. Like, that's... $800 isn't a very large sum of money.
No.
But it's not a small amount of money.
No.
So, that's very, very weird.
Yeah. And to leave money, too.
Yeah.
And she didn't have a credit card. She didn't have a phone. She didn't really have any bills. She had no bills. I can't even remember. I think she had her car bill,
she was
actually.
saving money for a long time.
She had her car. I think that was it. But, like, she had, like, a Chevy Aveo, which my parents still have.
Yeah.
And, yeah, my parents, even after she left, my parents still had to pay the rest of her car payment off because obviously at that time they were co-signers. So like she left my parents with a lot of debt. Like her student loan and her car.
Yeah.
Because that's something, once you declare somebody missing as dead, like that's it. Like their case is closed. Maybe you can get out of that debt, but you can't do anything further.
Yeah.
So it's like, what do you do?
You just absorb those bills.
You absorb the bills.
It's crazy.
And, like, I know I had mentioned it in a previous TikTok. Like, my parents didn't make money.
No.
You know? Like, my mom has been working her job for, like, 28 years. She's finally broken $18 an hour. My dad has only had one job. And I think when he was working, because the company had shut down and he was forced into retirement, and he never worked again. Like, I don't think people realize... Like, the families, like, not everybody's ambitious. Not everybody knows how to work the system. Mm-hmm. And there's company culture out there that's just like, you don't talk about what you get paid.
Yeah.
And of that generation, that transparency isn't there. And then when my mom told me about what she was getting paid, I was angry because she deserves so much more. But that's like a whole other, like, direction, like, I could ramble on about. So if you want to talk about pay transparency, we can probably do that later.
Okay. Next question.
Mm-hmm.
When was the last time you had a real lead?
A real lead? I know I saw this question pretty recently. And,
I mean, what's a real lead? Like, does that mean a sighting? Does that mean...
I consider that, like a sighting. Yeah. Something that is, like, of substantial, reliable witness, testimony or whatever.
A few days after
it was like, it was Japan, just right? A few days after the press conference. The press conference was the best thing that we could have done. But honestly, like, the leads only trickled in for, like, 2 or 3 days after the press conference. And then after that, there wasn't anything. I know I had stayed maybe another, like, week after the press conference. And we were, like, waiting. And there wasn't much. My mom stayed another week after I had went back. And she just waited. And nothing. I know recently we've had some movement because I had reached out to the Southington Police Department, and several months after I sent an email and, I was waiting for a reply, I did get a call from a detective, and that's who's taking over the case. Not really taking over, but I would say, like, overseeing it now. But the truth is there were so many holes. They never
searched a room.
They never searched a room.
They never searched the car.
They never considered this to be anything other than just, like, a sad girl who just, like, left.
Yeah, and that was entirely a story of their own making.
Exactly.
Like, nobody ever really came out and said that on your side.
Yeah,
like,
no.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, we also knew, given the situation, that she is an adult. She's over 21. We had to say something because filing a missing persons report is literally just paperwork.
Yeah.
There is no people hitting the ground. There's no
Well, it was after the email was found.
Yeah.
It was after the unsent email was found that you then had that story to go on.
Yeah, that we had, there was the draft, the unsent email was, kind of said, I'm starting over, don't be mad at me type of thing.
Yeah. Which is not much to go on and is very ambiguous.
It was pretty vague. And just, like, given her character. Like, it's so different. Like, because you can tell a police officer or any kind of authority your thoughts, but they're only seeing things black and white. They're not factoring in the missing person's, like, personality or something. Like, imagine if she had, like, a rap sheet or something. Then it'd be a totally different narrative.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And then definitely there wouldn't be any help.
Right.
Because, like, people's minds are already made up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm getting mad.
Which is kind of what that story, which is kind of what putting that spin on it did for them. Oh, she's depressed. She must be going to, like, do this thing.
Yeah, I know. But it was also, like, the only way you could get anybody to do anything, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's just...
And
you're stuck. You're always stuck between, like, a rock and a hard place. Like, you're just fucking squeezed. And the shit you have to... the shit you have to do. And still, like, beat your head against the wall because nobody's taking you fucking seriously. It's so infuriating.
Yeah.
And my family's not the only one who's gone through this.
Nope.
What was that question? Did we answer it? I just bit my tongue.
I think we touched on it. But it was the real lead.
Yeah.
When was the last time you had a real lead?
Yeah. I forgot where we were going.
It was answered within the first few words.
Yeah.
It was answered within the first few words of the answer.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Leads are funny. It's like, what is a real lead? At this point, 14 years in, what is a real lead?
I know.
Like, outside of being like, oh, she was spotted.
Yeah. The detective
some actual
was able
photos.
to get my parents' DNA out of the Connecticut State Lab and sent it over to Interpol along with a yellow notice, which is for missing people, and a black notice, which is to check all the morgues. But unfortunately, with the conflict in Ukraine right now, the people at Interpol have been, like, moved around, and there's only 2 people working in the missing persons division right now, and there's a backlog of over, like, 3,000 cases. So even when I go onto the Interpol website now, I do not see Sky's information updated. And this was supposed to be done, like, years ago, and it wasn't. So
yeah, that should have been done 14 years ago.
There's a lot to be mad about. Okay,
moving on.
Yes.
Okay, moving on. Do you think she would have left if she truly knew the impact it was going to have on the family?
No, I don't think so. I think she was just living with really bad depression. And that really clouds, your judgment. But I feel like something would have been said to somebody. And I'm surprised, like, nobody never picked up on anything. None of her friends had ever come out and been like, she said something this way, but, you don't see it in the moment.
You don't see it in the moment. And I think you need to consider the place where this all happened.
Yeah.
And what the average person who is from this place kind of experiences.
I know.
And the way that they move through life because of it. This, like, lower middle class...
outcast. You're just, like, kind of a sad, poor outcast.
It's not a unique story.
No,
if you know these types of towns And these types of people, it's not uncommon to,
to feel this way.
Right.
It looks the same. Like all of my friends, like growing up, if I was to look at my friends, I'd say we're all the same. We all come from the same kind of background. Mm-hmm. We've all have there's a lot of family problems, but they seem normal because all your friends are going through it too. And it looks
totally normalized.
The same.
Yeah.
The pain and the trauma all look the same because everybody's going through it. So you're not recognizing it when somebody's going through it.
There's not an advocate in the group.
No.
There's not a single advocate in the group.
No.
And that's why nobody's saying anything.
Yeah.
Whether that's a friend or a family member.
Yeah.
Nobody's saying anything because everybody's going through it in some way.
Yeah. So if she was in a different state, in a different mindset, then no, I don't think she would have done that. But given the state that she was in, it makes sense. I understand it. I think coming from, my family, I understand why. I know exactly why she did it the way she did it. And the thing is, I'm not mad that she did it that way because I get it.
Yeah,
I get it in my heart. And there's I'm also proud of her. If this is what she wanted, then I'm proud of her. But, it's... I wish it didn't have to be this way.
I know.
I get it, but I wish I want to understand more. I wish I could ask her or see her and just just tell her I understand. That's all. We were all sad.
Yeah.
All of us, everyone.
Yeah. We've talked about this.
I know.
All of you guys, in your family unit, all of you have left in some way.
Yeah. We're
all of you
together alone. We're just shells.
Sky got the furthest away. Mm-hmm. Everybody, all of you have left. So the question's not to me, but I think Sky would have left, even knowing that it would have done this to the family because the family was already.
I know. The thing is too, I left at 19 and I lived in my car in Pittsburgh and my parents didn't know where I was. So I get it. I had been there.
How long were you gone?
I was gone for a month.
Yeah.
But I called every once in a while. Mm-hmm. I was just in a bad place.
Yeah.
I was just trying to get out and getting out. And the thing is I understood her leaving, but I also that's I loved traveling. I loved going to a new place and not being prepared for the day. And just being in the moment. Because you're, not in the sadness. If you have something to, distract you. So it's I get it. I get it so much. And I think that's why, also doing this. Because I know that there's other people out there who get it.
Yeah. Definitely.
Okay. Anything else?
You want another one?
Sure. Let's just. Is there an easy one?
None of this is easy.
You need an easy one.
Okay. So, would you go back to Japan?
I would. Yes, 100%. I would love to retrace the steps. I would love to go to the places we didn't end up going to. I would hope to get something out of it, some sort of closure. I think I just kind of need to plan it, but I think there's there's like the financial roadblock, and just like I want to go with the whole family.
Right.
But then that's like a extra pressure too. There's times like, I wish I could just go alone and just experience it from like her perspective, see what that would be like. But like if I was able to get a private investigator, an interpreter, somebody that knows the area, and just like kind of go for like a month or so.
Yeah.
And see, see it for what it is. Like try to reframe it and see it from a fresh perspective and fresh eyes.
Yeah.
I think, I need to do that. We need to do that. Do you want to go?
We'll get on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know we always...
Yeah.
I know.
I'm here for it.
Okay.
It's just a matter... It's a logistical thing. Logistical? Yeah. Logistical?
Logistics, financial. It's like, the realities of it. Like, I want to be transparent. Like, we're not made of money.
No.
So...
Yeah, no.
And it's just... you gotta make sure everything is taken care of first. Okay, what else?
Okay, got a couple more.
Okay. This might be a long one, guys.
What do you think in your gut actually happened to Sky?
So knowing Sky and who she was and the secrets that I feel like she was keeping, I think she met somebody online and they told her to come, or they said they'd help her out in some way, and she believed them. Or, like ultimately that is what I lean towards. And I don't think it ended well. Like I don't know if she's still with us. Like, I feel like I try to be as logical and as grounded about this as I can be. Of course, there's always some hope. But, like, I feel like I try to keep each appendage in a different realm. Like, my feet are on the ground. My head is in hope. My arms are reaching out to all these like weird conspiracy theories that I shouldn't, and I try to let go of that shit, but like I can't help but like think about every scenario. But after 14 years, and Sky was like 5'8", 180. I know when I was in Japan, I was like the largest thing in the world. I was 5'7", 150-ish. Like, Sky would stand out. You could see her from space. And for nobody to see her, to raise any questions or concerns, I don't know if she would still be with us. Like, I'm trying to be realistic about it.
I feel like that theory makes the most sense based on everything that I've learned about Sky. Mm-hmm. Met somebody, they assisted in some way. And I mean, after that, anything is possible.
Anything's possible.
In 14 years, anything's possible. Japan might not be the end of the road.
Yeah.
That's the other thing, like, that I think about all the time. So, your focus has been on Sky went to Japan. Mm-hmm. Sky did something after that. Yeah. Stayed in Japan, went somewhere else. Like, where is Sky? Where's the body? If Sky's not there, then where is the body?
Yeah, exactly.
And, this isn't one of the questions on the list, but something that gets said a lot on TikTok in your comments is like, sounds like she wanted to get away. Sounds like, sounds like she doesn't want to be found. And it's like, okay, cool. Like, what does that even mean? It's succeeded. Sky succeeded in that, but but like that story can go anywhere. That story, there's so many possibilities, and it's a lot to think about. Yeah.
One thing I always think about when people's like seems like she doesn't want to be found is like, well, why can't I still wonder.
Yeah,
why
no,
can't I still
that's the other thing
be
about
concerned about her?
Yeah, when somebody's like, sounds
Should I
like she
just
doesn't want to be
stop?
found, it's like, what are you saying?
Yeah, like
you
what's
should
your
just
follow
stop?
up? Yeah, what do you want?
Like, that doesn't, it's such a
Like, just
weird
scroll
thing
past
to
me.
say.
It's fine. Like,
It's such an odd
yeah. I
thing
think
to
people
put
just
out
want to
there.
say something, and that's
Yeah.
fine. Whatever.
Okay, next.
Is there anything else?
Yeah, there's one more.
Okay.
So I think that we have 2 questions on the list left.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think she went to Aokigahara? Is that how you pronounce it?
Aokigahara.
Okiya. Okiya?
Aokigahara.
Okay.
I think. I mean, I could do a Google like pronunciation.
Okiyagara.
Aokigahara.
Okay.
So she went to Sapporo. Aokigahara is at the like kind of the base of Mount Fuji, and that's over by Tokyo. For kind of U.S. visualization, Japan is about the size of California. So it'd be from like, it's like a 15-hour drive, because also Hokkaido, where Sapporo is located, is the northernmost island. So you have to take like a ferry and then drive. So it's about like 15 hours to get from Sapporo to Aokigahara. And there's other locations in Japan that are considered like a suicide forest. But that one's the most famous one. That one gets asked a lot, but given where she went, I'd say no. So,
Okay. Yeah.
oh, that was a quick one.
The last one is, how can we help? Can we donate anywhere?
I think so. To be honest, like if I'm being transparent about it, a GoFundMe, I always hear like horror stories about like people get this money and they don't realize it's taxed and stuff. I feel like I'm honestly looking to be the most informed. So right now, if you guys want to contribute to the podcast, that would be amazing. You can, if you just donated $1 once, that would be rad. That'd be something I can get started with. So if I wanted to get a trip together with my family and get a PI and all that stuff, I think the best way, so I know that it can be accounted for properly, like, because it's through the platform, and the platform, I think I can just make sure that the taxes and things like that are set up properly. So I would honestly just, if you can, support me through there, that would be awesome. Yeah, I'm just looking for the best. I want to make the best financial decisions with something like this. I don't want to get in over my head in any way. I don't want to get I'm a little scared because, as I said before, when you grow up financially insecure, even if as an adult, I feel pretty secure. I feel like me and you, we're in a good place, but I can't shake that feeling. But if you want to support the podcast, guys, that'd be really great. I think you could just go to Spotify or Anchor, wherever I'm located through the podcast. You can go to the main source and you can donate there. So
yeah, it should be in your link tree too.
I think it is in my link tree.
Yeah, I think so.
I need to
make sure that link works.
I need to make sure that link works. Yeah, that's kind of yeah. I hope that helps, guys. I hope this wasn't too long or too crazy. I know I'm a rambler. Right, Tim?
I don't think you're a rambler.
No.
I think you're just trying to get to the point.
I know. It takes a while to get there sometimes. I'm on a journey.
Yeah.
I'm on the path less traveled. It probably needs to speed up a little bit.
Sure.
So, yeah. I will actually leave a Q&A on this episode as well. If you have any other questions, please send them my way or send them on TikTok. I often, I'll try my best. Often I have a 3-year-old who takes over my entire life and my focus. But anyways,
yeah.
Yes. Or if you have any questions for Tim,
don't ask him.
Ask them. And also, if you want to check out his world famous tattoo skills or whatever, you can find him on Instagram at Bodies Need Rest. I should have said that in the beginning.
Oh, it's all good.
You're like so famous. You're famous to me. I'm proud of you. I needed you. You're my
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I know. I'm sorry. Okay, so that's about it. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.